Visiting with Huell Hauser is made possible through a generous grant from the Ralph M. Parsons Foundation. Now we're standing here on the corner of La Brea and Jefferson on the 5800 block of West Jefferson, and I'm standing with Robert Gomez. Robert and I met at the gym a couple of weeks ago, and we started talking about his life here in Los Angeles and about his neighborhood, and you invited me over to see your neighborhood, right?
Right, yes. So I want you to see what people really go around here in this side of town.
Okay, we're on this side of town now, and the first thing you pointed out to me was right across the street.
Yeah, when there used to be a small little business section before the riots. We got our gas station, our flower shop, we got a little pawn shop and a little restaurant and a liquor store, but it was all burned down during the riots. And so was the Thrifty down the street and the warehouse. A couple of businesses were, severely damaged, as you can see right here in this corner next to us.
So it was pretty crazy around here.
Very crazy.
During
crazy.
the riots.
Yes, it was.
What did you do? Did you stay in? Did you go out?
No, we were mostly out on the street, seeing what was going on. We wanted to see all the action because in television they were showing a lot of what was going on, but we wanted to be there in firsthand. We don't want nobody to tell us about it. We wanted to be there to know about it.
Now we're walking down Jefferson, and what little you've told me about this neighborhood, you say this is a pretty rough block we're walking in right now, but it looks
Yes.
pretty quiet to me now.
During the day, well, right now it's very quiet. Most of the action begins later on in the evening, as the sun begins to go down. I guess that's when people really want to see, where they want to come out and do their thing.
Who comes out?
Usually, you see people dealing or prostitution.
Dealing drugs.
That's right.
And what else?
Well, just about anything you need over here.
What do you mean by that?
If you need a car, if you need a gun.
What do you mean if you need a car?
Well, for example, like your car has been stolen, it's been stripped. If you need another car, you just gotta go around the right place and they'll get you exactly what you want.
So you know where we could go around here and get a stolen car?
Yeah, there's a couple of places where you can go, where people you can ask.
And if I wanted a gun, I can get that around here too?
Yes, you also can get it around here.
Is it easy?
Very easy.
To get a gun?
As long as you got the money. If you got the money, you'll get what you want.
Any kind of gun?
Any kind of gun.
And prostitution?
You see them very heavily once in a while. As the police comes by and they kind of hide, but as soon as they go away, they always pop right up again.
They always come back?
Yes.
Now, you live down in here?
I live 3 blocks from here, a couple of blocks from where we're
Okay,
standing
so
right
this
now.
is still, you think of this as your neighborhood here.
It is my neighborhood, because I grew up around here.
Well, now when you say you grew up around here, from what I've learned about your past, you weren't born here.
No, I wasn't.
And that brings up the interesting story about how you and your family got here. Let's stop just a minute and talk a little bit about that. Tell us about that, about how the Gomez family came to be in Los Angeles.
Well, everything started back in 1980. One of my uncles went down to Mexico to visit us, and he just painted everything so beautiful and telling us, you won't be hassling around, and everything's right there in the corner, wherever you need. He gave us a Disneyland picture of the United States, of LA. So we all decided one summer, and my mother decided first to come over, and then the rest of us follow. But we didn't thought it was going to be as rough as it was, and as it is.
So in other words, your uncle painted this great picture.
He did.
The Gomez family came over. How did you get here?
Well, it took us three days and 2 nights on the bus first. And
what do you mean, to get to
from where we lived down to Tijuana?
To the border.
To the border, right.
And then what happened? How did you get across the border?
Well, from there, it was like my father contacted a man, and we were staying in a motel from there. The same night that we were there, some gentleman came up to us and he picked us up and told us we were going to come to the United States. So we all just grabbed whatever we had and we head for, I guess, what's the border.
And what happened?
Well, we all started running, you know, like in little groups.
You mean you were running across the open
Across the
border
open,
there?
yes. We crossed what I believe it was Interstate 5, and then it was like a desert. And then in that desert, it was like small holes, and, you know, they just told us to hide because immigration was coming.
Now, was this you and your mother and father?
No, it was my father, my sister, and my younger brother.
Okay.
It was the four of us, yes.
And so you were running across and hiding.
We were hiding, and then I remember hearing one of the gentlemen saying, the Moscow is coming, you know, which is the helicopter. He was coming down with his flash and throwing down the high beam. So we were trying to hide. You know, we were all hiding, and he just passed us by. I guess he didn't see us, so we kept on going. We were in a motel when, you know, we made it across the border, and we were in a motel staying when some gentleman named Francisco came, and he said that he was here to pick us up. And as they opened the door, it turns out there was immigration.
So you got caught.
We got caught the first time.
And you went back across into Mexico.
Into Mexico. Well, since my father was the only one with kids, you know, they let us go. They took us back to the border and released us at the border. But the very next day, we were back at it again.
Now, how old were you?
I was around 10. It's going to be 11.
Did you know you were doing something illegal?
No, I wasn't aware. The only thing I was aware of that I was coming to LA, and I was going to go to Disneyland. I would say.
You were going to come to LA and go to Disneyland.
Right.
Now, you are in LA. This is not Disneyland.
No, it certainly wasn't. It's not what we were expecting at that point. It's not what we wanted at that time. It's like, you know, the very next day that we were here, everything was different.
Like what?
Well, it was, you know, a different culture, just totally different, like another world.
Did you have trouble adjusting to it?
At the beginning, yes, I had a lot of trouble.
In what way?
Well, for one thing, the language barrier.
Uh-huh.
You know, I couldn't really understand what they were telling me, and I couldn't really communicate with anybody.
So you spoke no English when you came here?
No, none whatsoever.
Did you go to school?
Yeah, I went to school here in LA. From elementary, I started in the 5th grade.
Did you learn anything in school?
Well, I was so eager to learn fast and to get ahead. It didn't take me long to catch up with the language.
Uh-huh.
Within the first month of being in school, I was able to communicate with my teacher.
Uh-huh.
And I remember her giving me a big certificate because it took me less than everybody else to learn.
You all been here how many years?
Exactly, we've been here about 13, 14 years almost.
Has your father always had a job?
Yes. He has always been working since we arrived here.
Now, what about you? Have you got a job?
Yes. Fortunately, yes, I do.
What do you do?
I work as a waiter in a restaurant and stock clerk in a store.
So you do
2 jobs.
2 jobs?
Right.
You're working how many hours a day?
I work about 16 to 18 hours a day.
So you are working 18 hours a day?
Right.
Are you making any money?
Well, I believe yes. Unless all the government wouldn't take my money, I think I have a pretty good amount of money.
You don't like the government taking your money?
No, because I work pretty hard for it.
Uh-huh.
But they say you have to pay them taxes, and there's nothing you can do. But sometimes I just feel like I'm too old for my age, or I look too old for my age, too.
Uh-huh.
But
how old are you?
22.
And you've lived a lot, haven't you?
I personally consider myself that I lived too much already.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if you begin your life at a very young age, by the time you reach 20 years old or 22 or 23, you've been through so much that you really don't have any more place to go.
Now we're getting close to where you live.
Right. So we're exactly a block and a half away from where I live.
Tell me a little bit about this area.
This right here, mostly right now it's all Latin. We're all Hispanics now.
Uh-huh.
Before, when we arrived here, it was just a few Hispanics on certain blocks, and 2 certain blocks. We were probably about the second family that were here. It was pretty rough back then because I guess.
Why?
Well, you know, like I was saying earlier, people weren't really used to. They were really used to seeing people from a different culture, I guess. And it was pretty rough because getting adjusted to the way were, our old neighbors. Most of them have moved out. You can see some of the buildings have been torn, like taken out.
So this used to be a black neighborhood.
Yes, it was.
And you were the, what, first or second Hispanic family on the block?
Mm-hmm.
And when you say it was rough, what do you mean by that?
It was hard getting adjusted to, a different people, different culture, and them, it was like they didn't want us around back then.
Why not?
It was, I guess, they felt like we were invading them or something. I don't blame them.
Uh-huh. And now the whole neighborhood is Hispanic.
Now it's like you can see, it's mostly all Hispanic down the street, all around. It's all Hispanic people.
Mm-hmm. Are there any blacks here at all?
Yes, there are, but they're very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Just some of the old neighbors stay behind. They're all very nice.
Well, okay, let's talk a little bit about drugs. They're all around here.
Yes. It was a certain point back a few years ago that, if down here in this corner, you see about 10 to 15 guys all the time, day and night, 24 hours a day dealing it. It was very hard for the neighbors. The kids couldn't come out and play. There was nothing that anybody could do out here on the streets. Everybody, as soon as the sun would begin to go down, there was nobody on the streets but them. I used to come home from work at 3 in the morning, and 10 guys used to approach my car at that time.
Wanting to sell you drugs?
To sell me drugs.
Why didn't you ever buy drugs?
I had no use for them. I didn't want them. I didn't want to be a part of it.
Now, did the police know this was going on?
Yeah, they knew. They came and they sealed off the streets for about a week and a half, and it quieted down. For the first time, we were able to see the kids playing out on the street.
And then what happened?
They took the barriers off and they popped back. Just came back again. See, right there is one of my oldest neighbors.
Where?
Outside in the car.
You know this guy?
Yeah, well, I know his mom. She's a very sweet lady.
They were here when you first moved here?
Mm-hmm. They've been here for, God, probably, way before I was here.
And they've stuck with the neighborhood?
Mm-hmm, just like we had.
Hi. Well, Robert's just kind of given me a tour of the neighborhood, and he told me that you all were some of his oldest friends.
Yes.
I'm Huell Hauser from KCET. Your name is?
Arvesta Davis.
What do you think about this boy?
I think he's wonderful. He really is wonderful.
You think he's a good boy?
Yes, he is. He is, really is. Been knowing him for quite some time.
Now,
and his grandmother is very good. Yes.
Now, tell me a little bit about this neighborhood, because I hear you've been here a long time.
I've been here about close to 24 years.
So you've stuck with it.
Yes, I have.
Through good times and bad.
Good and bad, right.
Now, are we in a good period or a bad period here?
Now, let me see.
What do you think?
Well, I guess it's twists in between.
Do you feel safe living here?
Yes, since some of it had been cleared out over in here.
Some of the drug dealers.
Oh, you know about it, huh?
He told me a little bit about it. He's given me the tour.
Oh, I see. Yes, we've had quite a few neighbors deal drugs.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, I think it's done cooled down a little bit.
Good.
Uh-huh.
Good.
Uh-huh.
Well, maybe he's been a good influence in the neighborhood, too. Do you think so?
True. I think he's wonderful. You really do. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, the whole family is. Mm-hmm.
Now, can you speak Spanish?
No, I wished I could.
How can you speak with it? Because I don't think his mother speaks.
Oh, we do by signs.
Well, say something to me, like, give me an example.
Just like when, sometimes I can, read her, her mouth, and she's trying to talk, maybe I can understand something she said. She's be sign, like that.
Well, thank you for visiting with us. I'm sorry to catch you off guard like this.
That's right.
But Robert spotted you all across the street. Now, you used to live in this neighborhood.
I sure did, right down the street.
You don't live here anymore?
I sure don't.
Why not?
It's a bad neighborhood.
Well, now see, this fella and his family live here, and he told me that the neighborhood has gotten a bad rap because even though there are a lot of bad people in the neighborhood, there are a lot of good people in the neighborhood, too.
Well, that's true wherever you go. There's good and bad wherever you go. When I first moved over in this neighborhood, which was like 15 years ago, it was a good neighborhood. I literally saw the neighborhood turn to shit. I'm also watching it be rehabilitated. So I've seen it good, I've seen it bad, and I'm noticing it now. It's getting better. But you can never be too safe, and I'm just want to help these people secure their homes.
Do you feel safe where you live now?
Yes.
Where do you live now?
I live in La Palma. Do you know where that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
You have bars on your window?
No, I don't. They're not necessary. Not yet. Okay. And what are you doing? And who are you?
Well, I'm Huell Hauser from KCET. We're just kind of traveling around the neighborhood,
I see.
grabbing people on the street like you and getting their opinions on what's going on around here.
Well, everybody kind of knows what's going on. LA is just basically falling under, I believe.
Really?
I believe. That's a personal opinion. I can't say any more than that. It's just bad. I give it another 10 years, and I see a civil war on the streets of Los Angeles. I do, personally.
Are you going to be here in 10 years?
I will not be here in 10 years.
Where will you be? Oregon can only hold so many people.
Oregon, you know, I was thinking about places like Maine, New Hampshire, that part of the country. You don't hear anything happening up there. So I would imagine that that's a nice place to live. Or the Dakotas, or even Utah.
It's mighty cold there in the wintertime.
Oh, but that's all right. That's all right. You just get closer to the one you love.
I think we can stop with this one right now. Thank you very much.
Have a nice day.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now, see, he's not nearly as optimistic about this place as you are.
No, because he doesn't live here anymore.
Well, he said the neighborhood was coming around a little bit.
Yes, he is. Very much is.
Do you live in the neighborhood? Yeah. Tell me what you think about this neighborhood.
Well,
What's there to do around here?
go to school. I don't know.
Is it a good neighborhood?
Not really. A lot of violence.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you can't, like at night, you can't go out.
You don't go out of the house at night?
No.
Your parents won't let you out of the house?
Well, not that they don't let me. I don't want to, It's a lot of shooting going on, And I don't want to get shot.
You mean if you just walked out of the house, you
Well,
might
no,
get...
but, if you're going to go someplace when you go out at night, And, there's a lot of violence going on. You don't want to get shot or nothing, so you just don't go out.
You wish you were living somewhere else?
Well, not really, because I have all my friends here, and I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, but most people want to be able to go out of their houses at night.
Not me. I like to be with my friends. All my friends are here. If they move, I'll move.
So you're staying?
Yeah, I'm staying.
Okay, off you go. What does this mean?
That's the gang that stands at 18th Street.
So this is the 18th Street gang.
Yeah,
What are they doing? They're marking off their territory?
this is their territory. Yeah.
Does that mean everything over there or everything over here or?
It means the whole neighborhood around here. This is their turf, and this, where they live, and that's where other gangs should respect their
Now, how
neighborhood.
do I know that's 18th? Okay, that's...
This is the 1 and 8. So they
Okay,
just cover up a little
1
bit.
8 Street. And what is this?
It says Shy Boy and it's like
Shy Boy
Grumpy and Grumpy.
and Grumpy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then it's all like same thing.
Okay.
18th Street.
So this is the mark right here.
Mm-hmm.
What do people in this neighborhood think about politicians, about government officials? Be honest now.
Well, they're all just in there for their own interest. They always tell you, we're going to do this for your neighborhood, vote for me. I would do this for your neighborhood, Hispanics, everybody, Hispanic politicians, everybody, they're all the same. They say, if you vote for me, I will make a change in your neighborhood, I will give you this. So you go out there and you vote for them, and then once they're in their office, they don't do anything about it.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
So
Nothing
what's
happens.
the answer?
People just work by themselves.
Well, but you need the money that the government has.
Where is it? That's all I'm trying to say. You don't see it. You don't see it.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm Huell Hauser.
I know, Cherie McNeil.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure.
You live in this
I
neighborhood?
certainly do.
We're getting the good side and the bad side. Come here, Robert. Robert's kind of taking me around. He's lived here
Okay.
14 years.
I've been here 7 years. Hello, Robert. I'm Cherie.
So you all have not met.
We've not met. No.
Is this a friendly neighborhood?
I've had no problems here. You know, there are things that happens, but I haven't had a problem in the neighborhood, and I've been here 7 years.
Now, why do you think you haven't had a problem? Is it the way you carry yourself? Is it your attitude?
It's because I'm not problematic. So therefore, I don't generate that type of feeling, so it doesn't come back at me.
You don't go out looking for trouble?
No, but I go out, I walk to the store or anything.
At
and
night?
Even at night, yeah. And I speak to people all the time, continuously.
Do they speak back?
Yes, they do. Could you not speak to me?
Well, I saw you across the street. I had to come over here. You had that
right.
look.
That's right. I was curious because you know what made me curious? A friend and I, we were coming from the dairy, and I saw a couple of guys running. I said, what are they running for? So as I was going here, I saw the camera. I said, oh, whatever's happening, somebody's being put on video, and some of the people in the neighborhood naturally doesn't want to be seen, so that's why. So I walked up here to see. But see, I know who you are. I know of you.
So when there's a camera here, it's usually not for good reasons.
Let's not put it in the negative. When a camera's here, people don't want to be on it, okay, for their own reasons, okay? You know, and yes, well, you're here and you're for a good reason, okay? And, you know, I wouldn't say the camera's not for a good reason. I would say that people maybe are conscientious that a camera can predict something that might not appear as the picture could see, you know?
Yeah. What do you think most people think about these neighborhoods, about this part of town, about...
Well, about this part of town, if you're telling you from a certain area, they always intend to say, well, he's just a criminal, he's a drug dealer, he's a gang member, he's not a good, he's not a good human being. You know, just because you live in a certain part of town doesn't mean that, that's the way you are. You know, but that's the way they always judge you. And sometimes they see your zip code and they say, wow, you live in South Central, okay, you live in that side of South Central, or in West, Southwest. And you say, yes, and they always look at you differently.
So you really think you as a person can live in any kind of environment and hold on to your own values?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And I'm not the only one that lives in this neighborhood like this. There's plenty of people. There's plenty of kids that work very hard. It's a lot of them. That I've seen that also come from Mexico, and they don't have anything. They begin working in people's yards, and they get their landscaping going, and they build their houses, as you can see. And you don't see them using drugs or anything, but you do see them at 5:30 in the morning getting up to go to work.
Well, you don't see much of that on TV, do you?
No, they don't show the good side of the people that work over here. They only want to show the bad side of the neighborhood. They don't intend to show the people that work hard. And there's a lot of people that work day and night to improve the neighborhood and their lives.
Do you think, being completely honest here with you, what do you think most people's opinion would be of, not knowing you, but just saying, here's a guy who came across the border illegally 14 years ago, living in LA now?
There goes another wetback. That's what I heard a lot. Is call you a wetback, illegal alien, call you a beaner, call you all kinds of names.
Have you? They've actually called you those?
Oh yeah, plenty of times. I still hear them. But
where?
Everywhere. Sometimes
Where? Wait a minute. Who says that? They say that to your face?
Yeah, they say, "What do you want, you Mexican?" Or "What do you want?" Just things that it kind of gets you, but you're not in your country, so you just learn to deal with them.
Wait a minute. I still don't understand. Who says that? I've never heard that said to someone.
Maybe because you're not Mexican.
But you mean like someone who runs a store would say that, or someone who I can't imagine?
Like in school, you're in school. Sometimes when you go out in a club, or when you're at the door waiting to go inside a club or...
You mean, but they would say that in almost as a joke, not serious.
Well, even if they say it's a joke, you know that it's not being said as a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you can tell the difference between a joke and what's real.
Uh-huh.
And, since we've been hearing that all along, we know it's no longer a joke. Everybody, has a... When they tell you something, it's because they mean it, even if they're smiling, but they mean it.
Uh-huh.
So.
Well, how does that make you feel?
It makes you feel out of place sometimes.
Do you feel out of place
Yes.
in Los Angeles?
Not anymore, because there's more Hispanics now. It's like you feel more comfortable with the culture around you. There's more people to talk to. It's a different environment.
Do you think your dad made the right choice in bringing the family here 14 years ago?
Yeah, I think he did. Because in a lot of ways, our lives have improved, but we do miss our house in Mexico.
Really?
Yes.
Do you miss your friends?
Yeah, a lot of those people I've never seen again. It's been 14 years and then haven't seen any of them. I've never been as far as down to San Diego ever since I got here.
Would you feel comfortable going back into Mexico to visit?
No, because all my family lives here and...
But you're a citizen now, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, you could go back to Mexico and
yeah,
visit.
But the hardest thing is going back and knowing that what you had was not longer there anymore. That's why.
You mean that your life there is not there anymore?
No. It's like, it's going to be the same impact as when I came here, out of place. Because I got so used to the life over here that I know that if I go back over there even for 2 days, it's going to be hard.
Yeah. Now we're at the end of our little tour of Robert's neighborhood, and when I talked to you last night on the phone, you said you were a little nervous.
Yes, I was nervous that you would not like my neighborhood.
Why? Do you get that a lot from people who don't like your neighborhood?
Yes, I do. And so when I brought my girlfriend over, she told me this is not the neighborhood that she would like to live in.
Really?
Yes.
Well, after the tour, I can tell you there's some good and there's some bad, but it's your neighborhood.
Yes. I wish it was all good, but like I said, you can't bake your cake and eat it too. So there's a little bit of everything in every neighborhood, and this is mine.
Okay.
Visiting with Huell Hauser is made possible through a generous grant from the Ralph M. Parsons Foundation.